Don Jr. is about to give a speech at the RNC, but apparently he gave up the microphone to his daughter, person on screen here. Let's listen to what she has to say. It's bound to be psychotic, and while we listen, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII. Should just be in the background, won't bother you too much, you never played before. I think after Don Jr.'s daughter talks, then he talks, so let's listen.
Good evening, America. Before I begin my remarks, I'm going to do something a little uncharacteristic. A Trump is going to give up the microphone.
Okay.
Doesn't happen often. You may never see it again. But I got a call on Monday morning from a young lady who said, "Dad, I want to speak at the RNC."
Oh no. Is Don Jr.'s kid gonna speak here?
I want to speak at the RNC because I want America to know what my grandpa is actually like.
Blech. As if the world doesn't already know what that scumbag's like. We don't need more of it. And if you want to know what he's like, then why are you going up? Give Donald Trump himself a chance to speak. What? Did you notice he wasn't smiling until he realized he's on camera?
So for the first time ever on a stage, first time ever giving a speech, I want to bring out my eldest daughter and the eldest granddaughter of the President of the United States, your favorite president.
This is really sad, dude. He's bringing his kid into the political realm and making his kid a target now. It's also really sad that the kid is clearly, well, I'm sure we're going to find out the kid is totally brainwashed, right?
Kai Madison Trump.
Kai. If she wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kai Madison Trump. I am the granddaughter of Donald Trump. I'm speaking today to share the side of my grandpa that people don't often see.
She's clearly nervous and has probably never done any public speaking before. I get it. That's okay. She's very robotic and rigid. That happens. I'll forgive that.
To me, he's just a normal grandpa. He gives us candy and soda when our parents aren't looking.
You son of a bitch.
He always wants to know how we're doing in school. When I made the high honor roll, he printed it out to show his friends how proud he was of me.
I'm sorry. I don't buy it. That's just not like Donald Trump's personality. Maybe, I suppose.
I know. He calls me during the middle of the school day to ask how my golf game is going and tells me all about his.
Wait, she's playing golf during school? Are you shitting me?
But then I have to remind him that I'm in school and I'll have to call him back later. When we play golf together, if I'm not on his team, he'll try to get inside of my head. Yeah, I know. And he's always surprised that I don't let him get to me. But I have to remind him I'm a Trump too.
Okay.
Even when he's going through all these court cases, he always asks me how I'm doing. He always encourages me to push myself to be the most successful person I can be.
I'm sorry. This just does not sound like Donald Trump. It just doesn't.
Obviously, he sets the bar pretty high, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll catch him. On Saturday, I was shocked when I heard that he has been shot, and I just want to know if he was okay.
I know that she sounds drunk, but I think it may just be nerves. So I'm gonna overlook it and assume that she's just this is her first time public speaking. Oh, there goes the cat. Damn. Quick interjection. This won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video.
It was heartbreaking that someone would do that to another person. A lot of people have put my grandpa through hell, and he's still standing.
By sheer luck. The dude should be dead 15 times over, especially from that assassination attempt. I cannot believe the dude survived that one. That is wild to me. Anyway, I mean, he's going through hell in other ways, like with the media or whatever, because he's a scumbag, because he does scumbag things. They're obviously trying to normalize Trump here, right? This is like their attempt to make him more familiar with the audience and turn him into a real person. This is just like propaganda.
Grandpa, you are such an inspiration, and I love you. The media makes my grandpa seem like a different person, but I know him for who he is. He's very caring and loving. He truly wants the best for this country, and he will fight every single day to make America great again.
No.
Thank you very much.
I'm trying to see if she like stumbles when she walks or slips or anything, because I don't think that it's that she's drunk. I think she's just not used to public speaking. That's what happens. She looks fine. Yeah, I think it was just nerves. That's okay. I get that. I sit here and I speak in front of thousands of people simultaneously. I mean, right now it's only about 200 between Twitch and YouTube, but I've been in front of like 10,000 people before. I think that's the highest it's ever been for me consecutively live at a time. I have videos with millions of views on them, though. Millions of people have watched them. So I get the nerves thing. Despite the fact that, for some reason, it doesn't get to me to sit here and speak to people one-on-one like this. But it's really hard to sit there and speak to an audience of 50. Like, people sitting in front of me listening. I don't know why that's so much harder. I've spoken to an actual audience of people sitting in front of me, I think, of about 200, maybe 250 is the biggest audience I've been in front of physically. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. It definitely can be. So I'm hard-pressed to blame her for that one.
A lot of proud moments this week from my family. Thank you again, guys. Really appreciate that. That's not easy. That's the first time. I mean, this is...
No, it's not easy.
What we call a large crowd for a speech, so incredible work, Kai. Now, back to business.
He's a very fluent public speaker. He's very good at engaging a crowd, keeping their attention, keeping it cool, being smooth. He's good at that. Donald Trump Sr. is also good at that.
Guys. Thank you, sir. Tonight we gather here in Milwaukee.
I don't know what that person said.
At one of the most crucial moments in American history. Just days ago, something that once seemed unimaginable became a terrifying reality. My father came under literal fire as an incredible patriotic rally turned into a tragedy.
An incredible patriotic rally, okay.
On a field in Butler, Pennsylvania, a brave firefighter died. Others were injured, and as those bullets rained down, we came millimeters away from one of the darkest moments in our nation's history.
Okay, I agree with all of that except for one of the darkest moments. Like, an assassination attempt is bad. Wow, yeah, that really sucks, and that's not good, and I don't endorse that. But, there was a civil war. And honestly, any war is a dark moment in our nation's history. So I would say Donald Trump's death isn't as bad as a civil war. But okay.
But we did lose an American hero that day.
Yeah, unfortunately, other people died. I'm really sad about that.
We wish that he were with us tonight, but his memory will live on forever in the hearts of his family, his community, and the nation that he loved.
You know what's interesting about assassination attempts like this? A lot of the time, there's no rhyme or reason for it. Like, John Hinckley Jr. shot at Reagan, almost killed the dude. I think he actually he hit Reagan, and Reagan almost died. I think didn't George H.W. Bush have to take over temporarily while Reagan was under? I don't remember. Anyway, Reagan almost died from that, and the reason that he was shot wasn't political. It was because John Hinckley Jr. wanted to impress Jodie Foster, bizarrely. John Hinckley Jr. actually just got out of jail, like, I think in 2021 or something. He's released from prison. Isn't that crazy? Dude's still alive. Shot Reagan. Anyway, I'm just, yeah, I don't know what the reason was for Trump being shot, but it's not reasonable to assume that it was, politically motivated necessarily. People do let me put it this way. Anybody who attempts to assassinate a president is not all there mentally. There's something not quite right happening in their head. I can guarantee you that. There's something not right. So assuming their motivations is ridiculous.
So I would like to take just a moment tonight to express our gratitude for the
released in 2022. Thank you, Van Briggs, for that.
life and service of American hero Corey Comparator.
Interesting name.
They say you can't truly know how you'll respond in a moment of danger until you're actually confronted with it.
Yep.
So what was my father's instinct as his life was on the line?
To fall to the ground in fear. Which, okay, yeah, I would do that too. I'll admit it. I'll be the first one. I would be scared shitless. I would do exactly what Donald Trump did, probably. Fall so hard and so fast that it knocks my socks off. I don't know that it knocked his socks off, but it knocked his shoes off, certainly, because afterward he's complaining that he wants to put his shoes on, that Secret Service needs to wait a second while he puts them back on. Like, I would be there. I would be right there on the ground, grabbing Secret Service agents and covering myself up like it's a fucking blanket. But I would be willing to bet that Don Jr. here is going to claim that Trump was like this valiant fighter who ripped his shirt off and looked the guy square in the eyes and said, "Right here, motherfucker, come get me." That's not how it happened at all.
Not to cower, not to surrender, but to
No, really? Is that why he was on the ground, hiding under Secret Service agents? Because he wasn't cowering?
So what was my father's instinct as his life was on the line? Not to cower, not to surrender, but to show for all the world to see that the next American president has the heart of a lion.
Hopefully not like Cecil the Lion. This is such bullshit, dude. Donald Trump dove for cover as any sane person would. He's not some strong man that's not afraid of bullets. And if he isn't afraid of bullets, he's a fucking moron.
that the next American president has the courage to put the American people first once again.
Like Donald Trump puts anybody first other than himself.
And in that moment, my father didn't just show his character. He showed America's character. When he stood up with blood on his face and the flag at his back,
By the by, this seizure warning on this part of the game, if you're prone to epileptic seizures, look away, and I'll tell you when you can look again. This is part of the game that has caused seizures for people, okay?
the world saw a spirit that could never be broken. And that is the true spirit of America. America knows what it's like to be down. We know what it's like to be confused and to be afraid.
Okay, seizure warning over. We can watch again.
Long before the attempt on my father's life, every American I met was filled with fear and anxiety. They were afraid our country was being torn apart. They were anxious about the massive and chaotic invasion of illegal aliens across our border.
I mean, this is all propagandistic bullshit. I'm sure I don't even have to say it, but I'm going to anyway. He's lying through this entire speech.
We know what it's like to be confused and to be afraid. Long before the attempt on my father's life, every American I met was filled with fear and anxiety. They were afraid our country was being torn apart. They were anxious about the massive and chaotic invasion of illegal aliens across our border.
This whole illegal aliens across our border thing is so overblown and ridiculous. We should be creating a path to citizenship for people. It's a benefit to have immigrants in the country. It's valuable to our economy.
They were deeply concerned about partisan lawfare, education indoctrination, and attacks on freedom of speech.
It's just bullshit. What attacks on freedom of speech?
Most terrifying of all, they saw that our leaders didn't care, or worse, that they joyfully aided and abetted the erosion of our rights.
Like what? Who? Which leaders, quote unquote? What's he talking about? By the way, in this game, this chest, it says locked, can't open it. It's unopenable. It doesn't have anything in it. But it was supposed to contain the Titan materia. You get that later. I thought that's kind of interesting.
And the lies. Oh yeah, the lies.
Like the ones he's about to tell.
We won't ever forget the lies. From left-wing politicians, from their allies in the media. When you hear them in a row, you fully understand the extent they have gone to divide this great nation. They lied about Russia collusion.
No, that was true. There really was collusion between Donald Trump and his campaign and Russia. There absolutely was. There was a point in time, I looked for this clip later, and I couldn't find it. So if somebody can find this clip for me, I would really appreciate it. I want to put it in my collection, but it was on a Friday, I believe, and Trump says, on Monday, we're going to have some very interesting things, some very interesting information about Hillary. And nobody really understood, like, what that meant. But years later, in the Russia trials and investigations, it came out that at this time, Don Jr. was meeting with a Russian person, like a Russian operative in Trump Tower. And he claimed after the fact that it was just about like adoption or something like that. I don't even remember now. In reality, the meeting between Don Jr. and the Russian person was like to discuss how they're going to be able to help Trump win the election back in 2016. Anyway, I don't know. I cannot find that clip. I'd really appreciate it if somebody could. I mean, we have the clip of him saying, Russia, if you're listening, I would really appreciate it if you got those emails or whatever. That's pretty damning, but in my opinion, the other one that I just mentioned is even more damning because it's not like that's like direct, like Trump knew that he was going to get something out of speaking with Russia. or Russian, operatives. He knew it, and he intentionally set out to do that. In my opinion, that's more damning. Remember my first day of macro econ, my professor said, "Do y'all know what a 50-foot wall would do to the economy? If you were thinking increased demand for 53-foot ladders, you'd be correct." Yeah, or ropes. Maybe a rope. If you find that video, that clip, telltaleatheist@gmail.com. Send the email to there. I'd really appreciate it.
Fully understand the extent they have gone to divide this great nation. They lied about Russia collusion.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I got off track. There was no Russia collusion lie. That really did happen. In fact, a whole bunch of people went to prison over that and were indicted over helping Donald Trump connect with Russia and benefit from, like, their involvement and meddling in the election. That was absolutely true.
They lied about Hunter's laptop.
What was the lie, quote unquote, about Hunter's laptop? Like, what does that even mean?
This great nation. They lied about Russia collusion. They lied about Hunter's laptop. They lied about Joe Biden's fitness for office.
Who is they, by the way? Who is telling these lies about things? And no, Joe Biden is fit for office. I refuse to believe that Biden is having a health issue, that he's completely out of it or whatever. I don't accept that. They did the exact same shit the news did. NBC and CNN and others, I have the articles, did the same shit to Hillary Clinton in 2016. Claimed that Hillary was having health problems, incapable of operating, had pneumonia, she's tripping and couldn't walk straight and all this other stuff. That's what they do every single time. The media does. In fact, I talked about it recently. I don't want to go through it again, but yeah, right here, look. This is from NBC News. Hillary Clinton's health scare. 9 unanswered questions from 2016. She tripped over a curb. She didn't even fall. She just stumbled and kept going. And it turned into this big health scare. Here's what we do know. Clinton was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday. During a September 11th memorial on Sunday at Ground Zero, she was unsteady and clearly needed help getting into a van, becoming overheated and dehydrated. She tripped over a curb. Anyway, I'm just I don't accept that. I don't believe it. And I don't believe it about Trump either. I don't believe that either of the two people are having any serious health problem that makes them unfit for office. I believe they're both fine.
They lied about the border being secure. They lied about inflation being transitory.
What is he talking about? What lies were told about this stuff?
They lied about how they would safely withdraw from Afghanistan.
I mean, they used his dad's plan. Well, his dad's general's plan. And overall, it was actually a pretty good plan. They pulled out and everything was fine. We lost some people. Unfortunately, that's what happens in war. We shouldn't have been over there in the first place.
They lied about Biden being a, quote, moderate.
Who said Biden was a moderate? And also, who says he's not a moderate? I don't understand where this is coming from.
And they told one nonstop lie after another about my father.
What lies?
But they could only run away from reality for so long. All hell has broken loose in America, and it's impossible to hide anymore. Remember Build Back Better?
Yeah, it was Biden's platform that he ran on. Yep.
Instead, we got broke, bumbling Biden.
Broke, bumbling Biden. Mentally fit for office because he's a psychopath. I can agree with that one. Yes, absolutely. But not because he's having some, what's the term I'm looking for here? Not some senility or whatever. It's not because of that, in my opinion.
But they can't even define what a woman is.
But people can define woman. What are you talking about?
On one hand, they think free speech protects their right to expose your children to...
Again, like they. Who is they in this scenario? Who is he talking about? When a person uses the term they, it's assumed that they've named the subject before using that term. But he has not defined his subject. Who is they?
Explicit drag shows.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
On one hand, they think free speech protects their right to expose your children to explicit drag shows.
Okay, no. It's not okay to expose children to explicit anything, first of all. Second, no one is exposing their children, like the RNC children, to anything. Drag shows that are not explicit, they're just fun. I'm talking like drag shows are, it's like it's a performance. Drag queens aren't even trans or gay necessarily. They're just like people dressing up like a clown or whatever. It's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do. So those are optional. No one is forcing your kid to show up and like watch those or whatever. But free speech does absolutely mean I have the right to hold a drag show if I want. Like what are they even talking about? How is this twisted into free speech does not cover your right to do whatever you want? What is happening?
On the other hand, they want to put you in jail for making a meme.
Nobody wants to put anybody in jail for making a meme. I imagine he's probably talking about that one kid who intentionally created memes for people. Well, it wasn't even memes. It was propaganda saying that you can vote by text. Vote for Hillary Clinton by texting this phone number. And it decreased voter turnout by like 30,000 or something like that in specific areas. That was illegal, rightfully, and he rightfully got charged with a crime for that because it was like a deceitful practice. It was election interference or what. I don't remember the right term for it. That was against the law. In fact, I have images of the memes. Again, if you want anything that I ever show on screen, pretty much, owenmorgan.com/clips. I maintain a clip collection there. Yeah, here you go. Hillary Clinton fake voting ad from 2020 or from 2016. Here's one. I'm with her. Go Hillary. It was a Spanish ad. Here's another. The Ricky Vaughn. Thanks for spreading the word. I'm with her. Vote Hillary from home. Save time and avoid the line. Save time, avoid the line. Vote from home. 59925. And it was fake. And he went to, I don't know if he went to jail for this, but this was against the law. You cannot do that. You are intentionally deceiving people to reduce voter turnout. It's just like, it's not okay. And he very rightly, got punished for it. Anyway.
To expose your children to explicit drag shows. On the other hand, they want to put you in jail for making a meme. It's like the entire world has been turned upside down. Does any of this sound like a country that's going in the right direction?
So he, in one sentence, said you shouldn't be allowed to do whatever you want, which is to like hold a drag show or whatever if you choose to. You shouldn't be allowed to express your free speech by doing a drag show. However, you should be allowed to engage in election interference. That is fascinating, like the cognitive dissonance. He has to know, right? I believe that Don Jr. is like a conscious, dishonest actor. He is aware that he's like lying and twisting things around, in my opinion.
And honestly, who is actually running the country anyway?
Your mother.
It's obviously not Joe Biden.
Yeah, it is actually. No, I'll tell you who's running the country. Exactly who has always run countries. The people under the president. FDR, Thomas Jefferson, none of the presidents have ever run the country. They've made decisions and told people to execute those decisions. The people under them run the country. Joe Biden's perfectly capable of making decisions for the country. He's not even making decisions. He's being given a list of decisions that he could make and then choosing one. That's how presidents do it. It's not like operating heavy machinery.
So who are they asking us to elect? Seriously, who's running things? Does anyone really know? Is it Jill? Is it Hunter?
No, Biden is perfectly capable of making decisions.
Barack Obama?
Oh, please.
Maybe it's the ghost of Corn Pop.
The ghost of what?
Whoever is running the show, the only thing they are effective at is persecuting my father.
Oh, please.
They
Simultaneously weak and strong.
twisted, contorted, and corrupted the criminal code to turn bookkeeping errors into felonies. They concocted new legal theories out of thin air. They imposed gag orders on my father because the last thing a defendant should be able to do is defend himself, right?
Yeah, you can defend yourself. The gag order applies to things outside of court. Are you serious with this? This is such bullshit.
They punished him for merely speaking the truth.
No, they didn't. And who is they anyway? Maybe I'm just old, but I don't remember FF7 being this fast. Yeah, this is on the Switch, and it has a triple speed option, so I'm doing triple speed.
They say they hate Vladimir Putin, but it sure seems like they've spent a lot of time copying his playbook.
Oh, so you think Vladimir Putin is a bad person then?
In this country, we don't criminalize political differences. We debate them. We vote on them. But we don't make you choose between picking a party or picking a jail cell.
Uh-huh, that's correct. Does he think someone's doing that?
There was a time when the Democrats really wanted what was best for America, even if they had a different way of getting there.
Back in the 1950s, is that the time? That's when the Democrats were on the right rather than the left.
It was the party of Franklin Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr. You may have disagreed with that party, but at least you could respect it. But this new extreme Democrat Party, they want us to somehow believe that the only way forward is going backwards.
What's he talking about?
Hiring decisions are based solely on race. Where
No one wants that.
justice is only for those with the right opinions.
No one wants that. What is he talking about?
Where streets are a luxury only for the elite. Where economic opportunity exists only when you know the right people.
Everything the dude is saying right now is a lie. None of these things are happening. It's like, if you do something that you have to defend, that's one thing. But I don't even have anything to defend. I denounce literally everything that he's saying. I don't want any of these things, like political persecution of whatever. Like, he's just making it all up.
Where streets are a luxury only for the elite. Where economic opportunity exists only when you know the right people.
I mean, that's always been part of the United States.
Right now, the America we all grew up with, the America that we love, feels like an old photograph where you sit down with your children and tell them what life used to be like. You look back at that America and remember a country that was confident and proud, an America that knew who it was and what it stood for. And it could all feel like a distant memory. Somewhere along the way we stumbled. Somewhere along the way we lost ourselves. But we can't live on nostalgia. Yes, America was great, but our greatest days are yet to come.
Yeah, all things considered, these RNC speeches are pretty reserved. I've heard some real psychotic shit from these people before. And this is all nonsensical garbage, but it's not violent rhetoric seemingly designed to inspire hate crimes. It's just lies.
Because no matter how far off that old photo may feel, it's not the end of our story. We're like that man who stood on that platform and felt the bullet pierce his flesh just days ago in Pennsylvania. He may have moved to the ground, but he stood back up.
Well, I mean, doesn't everybody do that? If they get on the ground, then they stand back up, except for that final time, I suppose.
And when he did, my father raised his fist into the air.
And asked Secret Service to let him put his shoes on.
He looked out at the crowd, and what did he say?
Very inspiring speech that Don Jr. just gave, actually. He's a very good public speaker, honestly.
And we will fight. We will fight. We will fight with our voices. We will fight with our ideas. And on November 5th, we will fight with our vote. I've always been proud of him, but I've never been prouder of my father than I was in that moment. That's when the world found out that there is tough, and then there's Trump tough.
Oh my God, dude. He didn't, like, stop the bullet with his teeth or something, okay? He was afraid, as any logical, thinking human being would be.
And the good news is, America is Trump tough.
Yeah, I thought it was built Ford tough.
In 1912, more than a century ago, another legendary Republican president came right here to Milwaukee. At a political rally less than 1 mile from where we stand tonight, Teddy Roosevelt was struck by a would-be assassin's bullet. But he didn't quit either. He finished his speech and he kept fighting.
Wow, I didn't realize that. And yeah, Republican and Democrat switched positions. So one, Democrats used to be right wing, and now they're left wing. I'm not actually sure what Teddy Roosevelt was, if he fits into either of those categories, really. He probably had a little bit of each. But, as is standard with Don Jr. and the other Republicans, they love confusing the two.
My friends, I don't believe in coincidences, but I do believe in God's plan.
I don't think he does. I think he's an atheist, truthfully. I really do. I think Trump Sr. is also an atheist.
Today, Teddy Roosevelt's man in the arena has a name, and it's Donald J. Trump.
It is bizarre to me how focused on Donald Trump this whole thing is. Like, at these conventions and in committees and things, most of the time, people debate what will go into these platforms, what's going to be pushed in future Republican, documents and things. Like, what do they stand for? And instead of holding these hearings or these committees or these whatevers, they just went with whatever Donald Trump wanted. And people are really upset about it because they spend like tons of money, some of these people do, to be on these committees to help craft these platforms and make these decisions. They just picked up whatever Trump said.
Remember, my father didn't have to run for re-election this year. He doesn't need the money, the fame, the power.
He doesn't need the power, yeah. He does need to get out of his criminal charges, though.
Frankly, he doesn't need the witch hunts, the phony investigations, or the political prosecutions either.
None of that's happening.
But he knew he had to run if there was any chance at saving America.
And himself from jail.
He's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for everyone here tonight. For
Say that enough times, maybe it'll become true.
everyone watching at home. No matter who you are, you can be a part of this movement to make America great again. Look at me and my friend J.D. Vance.
Ugh.
A kid from Appalachia and a kid from Trump Tower in Manhattan.
You know what's super weird about J.D. Vance? Let me just lay out this series of events for you. Viktor Orban is the dictator, effectively, of Hungary. He's an extremist, a nutcase, close friends with Vladimir Putin. They work together. They have the same goals and interests and all of that stuff. Big Putin fan or whatever. So Viktor Orban shows up to Mar-a-Lago recently to talk to Donald Trump about what we'll never know. And the Kremlin, you know, the Russian White House, effectively, puts out a message that they did not ask Viktor Orban to deliver a message to Donald Trump. They did not ask Viktor Orban to tell Trump they want J.D. Vance to be his vice president. That did not happen. Now, I'm sure that there's some good reason why they brought that up in the first place. Maybe they're being accused of it by somebody. But I didn't think that before. That's kind of weird for you to just bust out of nowhere.
We grew up worlds apart, yet now we're both fighting side by side to save the country we love. And by the way, J.D. Vance is going to make one hell of a vice president.
Vladimir Putin seems to think so. Sounds like they're chanting Jerry. Like, you remember Jerry Springer? They used to chant that, Jerry, Jerry.
For those of you who have tuned out politics or have never even voted, I want you to know, if you're looking for a better life, a more prosperous future, a safer, more wholesome and patriotic place to call home, there's room for you in this party and in this movement. In fact, you're the ones who matter most of all. My father has always said that the people he gets along with best are the people who really work for a living.
Oh my God. Really? Donald Trump gets along with the working class really well? I don't believe you. I think Eminem said it best.
I don't understand is how in the do you feel like you relate to a billionaire who has never known struggle his entire life? I will say this, he talks a good one. And if you're in his base, you're a core, let's say you're going to the rallies or whatever, you watch him on TV, you hear him talking this shit, there's part of me that understands, like, all right, he's somehow still got them because he's brainwashing them into thinking that something great is gonna happen. Nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know, man. I get really flustered.
Anyway, Eminem is the shit, dude. I love that dude to death. Eminem is the man.
It's because of his background as a builder in construction, right? In construction.
Wait, Donald Trump is a builder? In construction? I thought he was a landowner and he got other people to do the manual labor for him. That's my mistake. Does Donald Trump know how to weld and stuff?
It doesn't matter how smart your architect is if you don't have the best guys laying the bricks.
And Donald Trump is that guy.
People with grit, people who get their hands dirty. That's a big problem with Washington, D.C. Most of the bureaucrats who rule over us have never built anything in their lives. It's time to build something real.
Right. Donald Trump's the builder.
Something tangible. Something that will last and leave this country better off for our children. That's my father's mission. This November, we have a choice. It's a choice between one team that wants to build this country up and another that wants to tear this country down.
And Democrats want to tear it down, I guess. Okay.
It's a choice between people who are proud of America and people who are ashamed of America. And
who are proud.
Ultimately, it's a choice between America last and America first.
This America First thing is so wild to me. The America First Party started in the 1940s as a method of helping Hitler win World War II. At the time, free speech was in a different place. Saying something positive about an enemy nation could land you in jail. Look at the McCarthy era. People were accused of being communists and being jailed for it, their whole lives torn apart. So the America First Party comes along and doesn't offer any aid or comfort or whatever, any endorsement for Hitler, but they advocate for America to pull out of the war. They say America should be isolationist, we shouldn't be involved at all. And if without America's involvement, World War II likely would have been lost by the Allies. Without Britain's involvement, I mean, it was very nearly lost anyway. But the point is, America First was a party trying to help the Nazis. And it's apt that they bring back the America First Party today.
And ultimately, it's a choice between America last and America first. So if you love this country from the bottom of your heart, if you want to bring back common sense, if you want to save the American dream.
There's no such thing as common sense. Everybody thinks they have common sense, and they're all wrong.
If you want to stand up and fight for the future of our nation, you must re-elect my father, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, Trump's gonna fix it all.
Together, we will make America great once again. Thank you.
Yeah, he says, gonna make America great once again. That's really interesting to me. I guess that's like the end of his speech.
Thank you, Wisconsin.
I've talked about it before. Let me just mention again, since this is the end of his speech. The terms left and right came from the French Revolution in 1789. The left were the people physically to the left of the king who wanted to end monarchy and kind of create a democracy. And the people on the right of the king, like physically to the right, wanted to retain the monarchy and punish the evildoers or whatever. Basically, the liberals and conservatives for all intents and purposes. And there's a difference between a revolution and a dictatorship, for lack of a better term. In a revolution, people want to forget the past. They're horrified by it. They're disgusted. So disgusted, in fact, that they will even change their dating system to start from year zero after they win a revolution. The other side glorifies a mythical past that did not happen, and they want to get back to that past. Does any of that sound familiar? These people in this room here are advocating for a mythical past that never existed. They want a dictatorship with Trump at the helm. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people need help, seriously.